Sunday night. Thank you for joining us on Pro Prep Baseball. I'm Ken Arnold.
I'm Tommy Weber here on Pride Day, baby.
I know
Pride
it.
Day.
Happy Pride Day. Yeah, my daughter went to a parade yesterday downtown Annapolis. It was really cool.
Happy Pride Day, especially to Renee. Seriously. Renee,
Yes.
Happy Pride Day.
Renee. Actually, he sent a message over that we should show the Bugs Bunny cartoon for the first 5 minutes of the baseball Bugs Bunny cartoon from back in the day where he's arguing with the umpire. You're safe. You're out. You're safe. Yeah, that one. I said, nope, we don't have the rights to that, Renee. Sorry, we can't show that. But
Let them come after us.
Yeah, let them come after us. I see that we are working on YouTube, and it looks good. Let me go over here to Facebook and make sure we're doing good here. And we are. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we're good to go. Tommy Weber, thanks for joining me as always. And let's get some comments going tonight. I'd love to see some comments from some folks. And get into some in-depth baseball talk, because that's what we need to do. because first of all, I'm an in-depth kind of guy, so everybody knows that. So let's knock ourselves out. How was your week? What'd you do? Anything baseball related?
It's good. I just, a couple of my guys signed this week. Got a couple of conversations going with guys who have been, their first week or so playing minor league baseball and getting them acclimated, helping them out a little bit, as I always do. And of course, the big news is Hunter Bishop, 10th pick, San Francisco Giants. He signed yesterday, so that was a really, really emotional day for everybody. Just, the culmination of just so much work and such a good kid and such a great story. It's pretty cool to have had a piece in the development of a player like that is really a dream come true. So Hunt is on his way.
So you said you did a podcast with him, right? Was that this week?
Yeah,
this week.
This week on you can check it out on TommyWeberBaseball.com. Hunter Bishop is my guest again. He's been on a couple of times already, but we had to have him on right after he experienced the draft and all the things that went on leading up to the draft, his emotions on that day, all that we did together for 2 years to do what we could to bring all of his great talent to the forefront, and went through some really dark days. It wasn't always easy and it wasn't always fun, but the one thing about Hunter is he always answered the bell. He was there every day, early, never ever stopped working, has a real abiding affection for the game and for the work. So, you never know what's going to happen in the future, but I'm certainly very optimistic that my dear friend is going to do exceedingly well as a professional and major league player.
I think so too. Just watching him play in college and just watching video, because I've never seen him play live, but just watching video, you can just tell he's head and shoulders above most of the guys that were out on the college field. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when he steps onto a professional field. He is going to have some tighter competition, but still, he's got the tools, just from what I've seen, to make it quickly to the big leagues, very quickly.
He, obviously seeing him every day for 2 years and working with him, and he lived with me basically last year. So, you get used to it, and then it kind of hits you again. And I watched him running. I was out at Arizona State earlier in the spring, and he hit a ball down the line. He ripped a double down the line, and I was field level, and he ran by me, and I was like, wow, I'd forgotten just how much strength he has and speed. He runs the 6'4", 60. He's 6'5".
Yeah.
So that's a lot of mass running at that speed. And when you're up close, and I had seen it for 2 years, so it kind of became ordinary to me. But when you're up close and you haven't seen it for a while, I was like, wow. He really flies, And no matter how much you see it, when you see it again, it's very, very impressive. So, he's a special player and a really special person and one of my dearest friends. And, I couldn't be happier for him and his family, who we've come to really, my wife, Carolyn, and I have really gotten close with. So, hey, listen, I I've shed a number of tears this last couple of weeks, man. It's really been emotional for me. It's been a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah, it's the time of his life, but I'm
Yep.
glad that you're able to be a part of that.
Oh, man.
Because he's just starting his journey as a professional baseball player,
Yep.
and
Yep.
like you said, he's set up to be very successful. He's going to have a fantastic time. Do they know where they're going to put him first? Did they say which level they're going to go with?
No,
with him?
They put you through a lot when you're a first round pick. You go through a bunch of physicals. You go through basically a week of physicals.
Sure.
When
they put that money,
and
yeah.
all. Yeah, I mean, and as I said, Hunter and I were talking almost every day. I said, this is what they should do. You're a very expensive investment, and they're going to protect their interests. And it's not personal. It's the San Francisco Giants have every right to protect their interests, and Hunter Bishop has every right to protect his. And it's not college anymore. It's not summer ball. This is now your employer. And he's a 21-year-old, just turned 21 last week. So, I try to give him the advice of somebody who's a lot older than he is and has seen a lot more than he has, and tell him, we don't take it personally. Now, we're professionals, and they have to protect their interests, and you have to protect yours, and that's all okay. You could still be friends, and you could still be nice to each other, but they put you through a lot, and he came through it with flying colors and wound up, in front of the pictures of McCovey and Mays signing his contract yesterday.
That's amazing. That's
really cool.
Just amazing. So when you get to sit in front of McCovey and Mays and sign your contract, that is pretty darn cool.
Right.
It's
all good, and
we
we pray for him every day, and we just let him know that we're always here for him. I'm always just a plane ride away. So,
fantastic.
Listen. I mean, it was no different than with you guys, and in the early stages of my coaching life. I take a real, as heavy interest in my players. I make no bones about it. I get close to guys really quickly. I don't know why you would be doing this if you didn't do that. I said this to Carolyn today. They think they're getting more out of me. Like they're getting so much out of their relationship with me. And what they don't realize is I'm getting the same amount, if not more.
Yeah.
So it's really, really been very rewarding, and I'm blessed. So I'm very thankful today.
All right, man. That being said, what did you think? Let's move on about these London games. What did you think about the Yankees and the Red Sox playing in London? How'd you feel about that?
I thought I don't know how you could conclude that the games were anything other than ridiculous. I mean, they almost look like the worst advertisement for like fat, bloated baseball. Tons of runs, no good pitching, no real drama other than when was the next 5-run inning going to happen. But you know what? I saw Rob Manfred in the booth, and everybody's on board. Nobody mentions anything negative about the game, and I understand that. They're trying to sell the game and grow the game, and they'll say or do anything to do so. And I don't know how anyone thinks that that's baseball putting its best foot forward, but perhaps they know more than I do. I personally was not entertained at all by those games. As a matter of fact, they were abysmal to watch.
Yeah, you're watching a game that's the final score was 17-13, I believe it. Yeah, but on the MLB Network, they made it seem like it was the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life. I was like, really? A 17-13 baseball game is the greatest thing I've ever seen? I'll tell you right now, pitching was terrible from the beginning to the end. And defense was actually okay. There were no errors in that game. Or the scorekeeper was really lackadaisical. Yeah.
Yes.
So
liberal, to say the least.
Yes, liberal. So.
But it is effectively an exhibition.
Yes.
It is.
It is.
I mean, even though the games count, I don't really know. I listened to Rob Manfred for a little bit, and he said some things I didn't even know what he was talking about. He thinks travel's going to get easier in the future. I don't know I don't know what industry he's in that he has the inside track on that, but I know the players hate it. A 6-hour flight in east is certainly not something that you want to do. I don't know how you're really going to sell that to the players in the future, and what the end game really is, aside from something different, which gets more people to tune in and watch. It's just different. I don't really see all these potential opportunities for growth beyond United States borders, unless you go to Mexico and Canada.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, going to Mexico and going to Canada, did you see the quick question? Are you hearing these things?
That was a layup.
Are you hearing that?
That was a layup I just gave.
That ding. Are you hearing those dings come through? Okay, good, because I'm hearing them in my headphones, and I'm just like, it's driving
shitty headphones.
Yeah, it's driving me crazy. I'm glad you're not hearing those dings. People keep commenting on Facebook stuff, and it just keeps dinging. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose my mind. So about this two-city team thing that we heard about, that they want to split Tampa Bay and Montreal and have them play half their home games in Tampa Bay and then half of them in Montreal. What do you say about that?
You have. Let's say they have you manage the team. How do you do that? What do you do? Have two houses? What do you do with your family? I really don't know how that could possibly work.
And what if you make? Yeah, it's crazy.
You make half your salary in Canada and half your salary in the United States. I mean, I guess. I don't know how. Look, the reality is, and this happens a lot in baseball. The reality is that nobody wants to face what the hard truth is, because there's nobody standing in the room that wants to say, "Hey, listen, baseball in Florida just doesn't work." It's never worked. Sports in Florida, in South Florida, has really never flourished. The Miami Dolphins, when they were great, struggled to get people to come to the stadium.
Yeah.
So, the Miami Marlins, the Marlins are a disaster. The ballpark in Tampa Bay is a disaster. If you don't put a new ballpark in, and I don't think that's the remedy either, because I just don't think you have enough interest in South Florida. The reality is you got to contemplate moving the team. And if you don't, I think you're always going to be revisiting this, just like you are with the Florida Marlins. That's another franchise that, it sounds great to have a guy like Derek Jeter at the head of it, but I just don't see what the future holds for those franchises. I don't.
Yeah, I don't get the whole what if you make the playoffs? And then what? You play some of your playoff games in Montreal and some in Florida? I don't understand what they're trying to do with
look, it says it makes as much sense as not throwing 4 pitches to intentionally walk a guy. It has no benefit. It does not save any time at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yet baseball promulgates this as if it's the way to speed up the game. And now that we're doing that, everybody should be happy. They constantly throw fans the bone, and they never really give you the meat. And the reality is, you got to do some serious soul searching if you're Major League Baseball and see does it work in South Florida? And the answer is no, it doesn't. Got to get out of that ballpark, and you got to relocate.
That being said, about this whole, I don't think it'll work. I think we all agree it won't work. But that being said, let's take a look at an article that you posted. I think it was you who posted it this week on Facebook, about bullpens ERAs for the first time since the 60s being greater than the starter's ERA. And
yes.
that they're taxed, they're worn out because they're using them. They're using them as openers. They're using them way earlier in the game. And these guys are coming in and they're throwing a ton of innings, and then they're just getting worn out because, number one, they're not that good to begin with. Because if they were, they would be a starter. That's an argument.
I think I accompanied that post by saying, I've been saying this for 15 years. This fallacy that bullpens are great is absurd. But you have, Major League Baseball, its Politburo, which is, of course, MLB Network, just never, ever talks about anything negative. And this notion that, the reason why it's harder to hit today is because of these bullpens. Well, there are like 5 good bullpens in all of baseball. All the other bullpens are terrible. And the reality is, at some point, when pitchers now pitch 4 innings and 3 innings and 5 innings, you're going to have to overuse pitchers that aren't used to throwing as much. Now they're throwing every day. The Yankee bullpen, and I said this, within the next month, you're going to start to hear about the fatigue of the Yankee bullpen. Well, that's because your starters can't go 5 innings. So, when they're throwing every day, 1 and 2 innings, and they're logging all this time on the mound, you're going to start to pay for it, even if you have elite pitchers in the bullpen like the Yankees do. So if you're a team like the White Sox or the Mets or any other of these terrible teams that have terrible bullpens, ERAs are going to explode. And I feel bad for baseball because now you kind of box yourself into a corner because you've bred a generation of pitchers who think a complete game is like a mortal sin.
Yeah.
They think about pitching 5 innings now.
And that's it.
So now what do you do?
And they want a standing ovation.
If you turn around now and say, you know what? Oh, man, we can't go to our bullpen. Well, who do you rely on? Because you can't go to your starters.
Yeah.
Because you can't push them because they haven't pitched more than 4 or 5 innings their whole life.
So, yeah. I was surprised that the Yankees allowed Tanaka to go full complete game last week. I was shocked. Absolutely shocked by it.
Too.
I couldn't believe that they did it. But they let him do it. And you may see that one more time for the rest of the year. They won't let him go. I would say they wouldn't let him go more than 7. Any games the rest of the season, unless he's pitching a no-hit shutout, and then they may let him go 8 and 9. So, but yeah, you don't see anybody do it. Even in the minor leagues, you don't see anybody do it. I went to a minor league game the other night, and the guy that was winning the game, and he was dealing. I mean, just dealing. They took him out after the 6th inning. That was it. Done. Boom. Guess what happened? Other team got to the bullpen. Boom, boom, boom. They lost the game. I was like, I'm
with you. I think baseball, I think a lot of teams now are kind of looking and saying, oh, man, we might have overplayed our hand here with this bullpen, priority on this bullpen and openers and all this other stuff. That's just another way of explaining that you don't have pitchers that can pitch 7 innings. And I don't understand how if the pitchers are bigger, stronger, and work out and are in better shape and throwing harder, then why can't they pitch more?
I don't know. And then
wouldn't that be the goal, to get guys to pitch more, not pitch less?
And this whole thing, like I posted the other day, the article by Dr. Andrews about the injuries,
That's a
overuse.
Dr. Andrews is wrong.
I'm sitting there going, well, you said that there was a jump in that after the year 2000, which is when smartphones started to come into play, pads started to come into play, computers, more of that kind of thing, online gaming, all of that started to come into play right around the year 2000, then moving forward, right? And then people have bought into this, that these kids are overused at the youth level.
They never play.
They don't play. That's the problem. You
sorry,
take a kid to a
play.
game. Take a kid to a game, right? Take a kid to a game. And then a tournament like I did last weekend. So in between, we've got time to just sit around and do nothing. What are the kids doing when we're just supposed to be sitting around? No.
They're on their phone.
They're playing a game. They're
right.
throwing the ball against the wall. They're running around chasing each other.
Some kids are.
And they're all doing this. And guess what? Not one of them gets hurt. Not one of them complains about a sore arm. Their shoulder doesn't hurt. Their knees don't hurt. But then all of a sudden you put them into a game situation and it becomes like a routine and it's almost like work now. Then all of a sudden they get every malady, every injury in the game. All of a sudden.
If overuse was the reason kids were getting hurt, the Latin American kid would be getting hurt. Every Latin American kid would already be injured. Yep. And that's just not the case. Because the Latin American kid plays 10 times as much as the American kid.
All day,
I hate
every
to.
day.
I don't know how anybody could. Look, I understand. We process this through the eyes of being adults and parents who have to take your kid to all these games. So you think it's a lot, and it is a lot to go to 3 games a week if you're a parent. But for a kid, that's nothing. That's not playing a lot.
Yeah,
left to his own devices, he'd play for 6 or 7 hours all day long.
Every day.
With his friends every day.
Yeah. If he liked playing baseball, basketball, whatever he liked to play, he would.
Right.
So it boggles my mind.
I think it's really tone deaf of Dr. Andrews to keep promulgating this point that is literally apocryphal. It has no basis in fact. And I understand he's a part of that whole establishment. And I understand he's a brilliant physician. But he's also way off base on this and way out of touch his play because they just don't play a lot.
But everybody's buying into it.
When did your travel ball season end? When does that end?
We're done. We just ended last week. Yeah. I mean, we didn't
July
overdo it.
1st.
Yeah, we didn't overdo it.
Before July 1st.
Yeah.
How could you be all right? You have 2 more great months that kids could be playing every day, and they're not going to. So how could anyone think that they're playing too much?
No, I mean there are some teams that are still playing, but that wasn't us.
Most kids aren't. I know.
I wanted to play 30 games in that range. I didn't want to play 60, 70 like some of these teams do. That's ridiculous. We'll start back up in late August, September, and do fall ball. But the main problem, Tommy, is that I see when I go and I watch these tournaments and I go and I watch these kids play in these games, the coaches keep running the same kid out there. They keep running the same kid. The same kid. And I'm just like, that kid, you just threw him 5 innings in the last game. You're going to throw him another 5? And then another 5?
Don't get me going on the toxicity of travel ball and showcasing and the whole dynamic. All right, it's bad. It's bad for kids. I understand you have to do it because you're trying to make a choice. But anybody who thinks that that's good for your kid should think again. It's not. I understand you have to do it. I get it. It's the only game in town. You got to play travel ball. But it sucks. It serves very little of the purpose that you intend when you put your kid into baseball. Very little, if anything.
I have coaches who coach with me, and I have coaches who.
And anybody who's listening and wants to at me or talk to me about it, be my guest. But put your dukes up, man. Get ready.
Get ready.
Because I'm loaded for bear on that one.
Yeah. Guess what I did this week, Tommy Weber? I'm going to tell you. I threw the first pitch out at the Bowie Bay Sox game.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Oh my gosh.
Hold on. You ready? Because you're going to see it. You're going to see it again.
Oh,
you ready?
Christ.
Here it comes.
Oh no!
Here we go. You ready? Here it is.
Lefty catcher.
Little up. It was a little in the zone, but I bet you he chased it. But I had some good velocity on it, and yes, he was a lefty catcher.
Oh no!
Nobody wants to go out there and catch.
Exactly.
Lefty pitcher out there.
They had a lefty pitcher come out and catch me. I was like, darn it. Yeah, I thought I was going to be throwing to a catcher. Here I am throwing to a lefty pitcher. But it was fun, man. It was great. I got to throw out the first pitch. Got to watch a great game. The Bay Sox actually won it on an inside the park home run, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And while I was there, I'm sitting there, and I get up like around the 6th inning to walk down to head out to go down to the restroom. And I see my manager from my first 2 years of professional baseball sitting down there scouting for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm like, holy crap.
How about that?
So I went down and sat with him and talked to him, and and he's sitting there. He's got his pad now. He's like, yeah, I hate, I was always a paper guy, and now I'm using this pad, and he's writing on this pad, and I was just like, all right, whatever. He goes, yeah. He goes, this is my first year doing it. After all these years, I finally went to the pad, and he goes, I'm getting used to it, but it's taking a while. So
I know that feeling.
Yeah, but it was kind of cool to see him. I introduced him to my wife and my son Elias, which was kind of nice. And I got to tell him, I got to thank him. I said, "Hey, man, thanks for everything you did for me back then." He was actually in my corner. You know what I mean? When the Cubs wanted to
it's what you want.
Yeah, when the Cubs went to release me, he pulled me aside and he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I don't want you to go." And he goes, "If there's ever a chance you can play for me again," he goes, I would love it. But we didn't get that opportunity. But, I thanked him, and it was just nice seeing him. So it was great.
That's a cool thing to hear.
Yeah. Had a great time. You know what else I did this week, Weber? I'm going to tell you.
Oh, God.
You're gonna love this.
You didn't take BP, did you?
No. I didn't go out and take BP.
That could only look bad. Bad.
I didn't take BP. I didn't do anything like that. I did something even more phenomenal. Are you ready? I went to Tom Selleck Con. Check it out.
Oh
there it is, right there. How amazing is that right there? Is that insane?
Oh, good grief.
So,
oh boy.
There's a brewery in Frederick, Maryland that has Tom Selleck Con, and it's amazing. So you go, everybody's got their Hawaiian shirts on. I have my Detroit Tiger hat. I have my shorts, like super short. And you go, and they give you the Tom Selleck tour, which is hilarious. And they do this whole Tom Selleck presentation. And then everybody just hangs out, drinks beer, and talk about Tom Selleck. It's kind of nice. They even had, Tom, you ready? Free mustache rides. It was a mustache seesaw It was amazing.
Wow.
And
Wow.
painted on the mustache was free mustache, right? It was great. It was fantastic.
Civilization is doomed.
It is, but we had a great time. And of course, there were people dressed like Mr. Baseball there, which was fantastic.
I'm sure.
And little did I know, but he trained with the Tigers for 2 weeks. 2 weeks before he went. But he was already a good athlete. He went to USC, played basketball. He was on the JV baseball team. He was good.
Big guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And he knew, and that's funny because then you watch movies and then you just sit there and you go, oh, man, these guys can't play baseball to save their lives. And
that's why they're actors.
Yeah. Well, Robert Redford was good, right? In The Natural.
Yeah, he was.
He was good.
He was.
Charlie Sheen was good, right? Tom Selleck was good. Tom Selleck was good in Mr. Baseball. What's his name? Ray Liotta was good in Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner in Bull
Not
Durham.
bad. Yep.
Yeah, not bad.
Tim Robbins, horrible.
Terrible. Absolutely the worst.
Horrible.
Tom Berenger couldn't throw at all.
Right.
So
Corbin Burnson.
Oh.
Where you see it. Where you see what looks the worst, other than the pitcher, the catcher. When the guy's catching the ball with two hands, and he's kind of like a little gun shy. That you can't hide that. I'm sorry, you just can't hide that.
Oh, that's pretty.
You can't
funny.
fake that.
No, you cannot. You cannot. So,
catching it like a girl. Oh, I'm sorry.
So Renee said, Tom. He said he saw my video and 3 people clapped when I threw the ball over the plate.
Well, there were 4 people in the ballpark, so that's pretty good.
To be honest, though, they do a good job in Bowie. It was a Wednesday night. I wish they had more people who would show up during the week because it is a good time. It is a good night out. They do a lot of things for the kids, and it's all around baseball. But I just don't understand why people aren't going out to watch games anymore. The tickets to get in were only $10. It wasn't that much, and the food's a little pricey.
It's cheap.
But it's not as pricey as the big league game, and you're seeing good baseball.
Oh God,
you're seeing good baseball.
I agree.
I did notice something though while I was at the game, Weber, and you tell me if I'm seeing things. But I'm watching the game. I'm sitting right behind home plate, right, and I'm watching these pitchers throw, and I'm like. And I'm looking up on the board. It's like 95, 96, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, that doesn't look that fast. That looks like when I played. It didn't look that fast. It doesn't look that fast to me. Are the guns different? Are they like,
I think the guns are hot. I do.
Yeah.
I think the guns are hot.
That's what I'm thinking.
But, I mean, more guys don't throw harder, but more guys throw hard.
Yeah.
More guys use velocity as their pitch. Than ever before, and also that's the byproduct of guys only having to pitch 1 inning. Mm-hmm. So you could throw it as hard as you want. Obviously, if you have to pitch 7 or 8 innings, you have to pace yourself. You can't throw every pitch as hard as you possibly can. But if you're going to come in for 1 inning, you can rear back and throw. So I think guys are more velocity focused and more velocity conscious. So they're going to tick the gun up a little bit, and that's very sexy. But the reality is, if you don't locate it, you don't change speed, you're going to get lit up at every level because guys catch up to velocity. They do.
Yeah, and when I was sitting behind home plate with my former manager, Steve Rocap, he was saying, he goes, that's what guys are doing now. It's all about velocity. He goes, there's nobody trying to place that thing where they want to place it. And he goes, that's a shame, but that's just the nature of the beast. He said he can't even watch games on Sunday night on ESPN or anything because he can't believe what they're saying with the exit velocity, the launch angle, and everything. He turns it off. He goes, I turn the sound off and just watch the game.
I really don't. These are things that exist in physics. The ball does travel at a certain speed, and it does travel at an angle, just like you walk at an angle and you walk at a certain rate of speed. I just don't know how anybody. I don't know how you sell that as being entertaining. I'm sorry, I don't. It would be like going to a music concert and being told what the pitch is of every, the relative pitch and frequency of every sound and note that the singer. I'm not sure how that makes you enjoy it more. Like, I almost don't want to know because I just like what's going on stage and I just like what's going on the field, or I don't like it. And also, I mean, maybe people just are sleepwalking, but isn't it easy to figure out that if a ball's hit really far, it's hit harder than a ball that's not hit really far? I mean, do they need the exit velocity to tell you that if a guy hits one over the center field fence, it's hit harder than if I hit a pop up to second base?
Yeah. The exit velocity on that pop-up was 60 miles an hour. The exit velocity
really
on that home run was 110.
Here's what would really be amazing.
Yes.
If you hit it 400 feet
Uh-huh.
with a 40-mile-an-hour exit velocity,
That
the
would be
ball
amazing.
is hit so slow, it just
Yeah.
keeps going and going. It takes like 10 seconds to get out of the ballpark. Now, that would be something for everybody to ooh and ah over. But, I mean,
Wow.
yeah, I guess when the space shuttle goes into the air, it's going really fast. Otherwise, it's not going to make its way up into the air.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So Renee came on. He said the ACBL All-Star Game is Monday, July 8th at Jackal Stadium. Where's Jackal Stadium?
Yeah.
Where is
That's
that?
Montclair State, I think, right? No,
Okay.
no. That's in Sussex. It's in Sussex,
All right.
I
The
believe.
ACBL,
Sussex County, New Jersey.
the ACBL is hosting the NYCBL. So the ACBL is what? The Atlantic Coast Baseball League?
Atlantic Collegiate Baseball.
Atlantic,
Collegiate
okay.
Baseball League is playing the what is it? New York Collegiate Baseball League.
Okay, cool. All
That's a
right.
great idea. That's a great idea.
Fantastic.
Some of the best times in the ACBL were when we kind of cross-pollinated and played somebody else. We played the U.S. Army team one year at St. John's. That was fantastic. Should have been doing that every year. That's a lot of fun. It really has a festive kind of quality to it. And the All-Star games in the ACBL are always a lot of fun.
And they said the MCBL All-Star Game is Thursday, July 11th at Boulder Stadium. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, where's the Boulder
Brian Casey and Renee Miranda have done a fabulous job leading a league that's essentially a niche league, the MCBL, a league where a lot of players who don't play in the ACBL and don't play someplace else who still want to play, they've created a league for giving opportunities for kids to play. And I thought it was great when they had the idea and they ran it by me. I knew it was a winner, and it's a winner now, and they do a fantastic job. They really are doing a great service to a lot of players, and they deserve to be commended for it.
Excellent. Well, you just did. You just commended them. Cool. So we ended our season last weekend, Tommy, with a tournament, and this tournament was a little bit more competitive. It still was a travel ball tournament, and my guys are like on the cusp, right? You know, they're
Right.
in between. So we went up and we played our first two games. My guys did not show up. They did not show up at all. It was kind of tough to watch. We could not catch the ball, period. My third baseman missed 3 ground balls in a row. Like, just didn't even touch them.
Yeah.
So, and you know what happens when their heads get down, they get down, and then it snowballs from there. So needless to say, the first day we lost, and we talk about this sometimes. Sometimes you're going to take a beating like that. And we took a beating, and we lost 15-0 and 13-0. So it was tough. Now, here's the saving grace of the weekend. We played the next day, the number 1 seed in the tournament. We were the lowest seed. We played them tooth and nail they beat us 7-3. But we were in the game the whole time. And we played our butts off. And I got to give my kids credit for coming back after that tough day that they took. And then showing up and playing the number 1 seed as tough as we did. It was fantastic.
All starts at the top. The manager sets the tone.
It was my fault.
He does.
It was my fault the first day. So, yeah, but we didn't show up that first day, and it was tough. But, yeah, that Sunday, we came back, we came out, and we played a fantastic game. My pitcher, he threw a fantastic game. The day before, he threw well the day before. It's just nobody caught the ball or threw the ball behind him. It was just, I'm proud of my guys, and I'm looking forward to the fall league. But I told them, I said, hey, guys, enjoy the rest of your summer. Play when you can. Get outside. Do some things. Do some other sports. Enjoy your summer. We'll get back to it in the fall, and we'll play Sunday games in the fall and maybe 1 practice during the week. I'm not going to overkill them. I'm not going to go, all right, we're going to play. We're not going to do 3 practices a week and then, we're going to play a tournament on the weekend. No, we're going to do 1 or 2 during the week, maybe some extra work with some guys, specific guys, and then
Right.
and then we'll play on Sundays. We'll play our game, and that'll be it. So, all right, that's all. That was how we ended our season. It was kind of nice to see that final game. The guys come back after taking a beating and bounce back and play tough. That was nice to see.
Yeah, it's easy to pack it in. It's easy
It
to
is
pack it in.
absolutely easy. So
I do have to make a comment about the college super regional World Series. I don't know if anybody watched it, but I watched probably more college baseball this year than I have in a long time. And I'll tell you what, you really see the effect that information gathering has on strategy. And what I mean is, I've never seen so many coaches, head coaches, who make tons and tons of money, be a beat behind what's happening on the field because they're so preoccupied with charts and data and writing things down. In the super regional game, in the College World Series game, Louisville played Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt won the first game. Now, Louisville is playing an elimination game. They have a pitcher who pitches 8 innings, and they take a 2-1 lead going into the 9th inning. All right, 2-1. Now, Louisville has in their bullpen a guy who throws 100 miles an hour. I've seen the kid. He's ridiculous. He's one of the best pitchers in the country.
Yep.
You have to win this game. You have to win.
Yep.
It might have been 2-0. Anyway, you have to win this game. He lets the kid go out and start the 9th inning. Now, this is something that never would happen during the regular season. And I'm telling you, the coach at Louisville has got this book in front of him, and he's looking at this chart, and he is in a state of panic. He's frozen. You could just see the look on his face. He doesn't want to make a move because he's literally gripped in fear. The only reason you wouldn't make the move. And even the commentators were alluding to the fact that you have a 100-mile-an-hour pitcher. This kid's running on fumes.
Yeah.
8 innings, high heat, high emotions. He leaves them in. So my wife was sitting next to me. I said, they're going to tie this game up. They had a guy on first, lefty hitter up. Sure enough, bang, lines one down the right field line, run scores. Next kid gets a hit. Don't you know? He waits until it's 3-2, and then he takes the kid out.
That makes no
He
sense.
waits until he's behind,
So-
and then he takes the kid out.
So you're telling me, in the most important game of the season,
That's correct.
he changed the way he played the game all season long.
I don't even know if he changed. I think that a lot of these guys, many of them, are so tight and so information driven, and also so look driven. They've all got the stopwatch in their hand, which I don't understand why they have a stopwatch every game. The pencil in their ear, the pen in their ear, and all the other, and the charts, that they lose touch with the most important thing, which is what's happening on the field in this moment. You have to be deeply connected to the game, and the only way you can be deeply connected to the game and get a sense for what the best move is to make is if you are paying very close attention to the game. To the extent, it's one thing to get information given to you, but when you're constantly flipping through a chart and writing things down, I'm sorry, you can't be. Your attention can't be in 2 places at once. If it is, it's probably bad. It's probably you're not paying close attention to either thing. So over and over and over again, and McConnell's gaffe in this game is inexcusable, and it really did cost his team a chance to play Vanderbilt in a game that would have given them the right to go to the finals of the College World Series. And I have a feeling they would have knocked Vanderbilt off had they done that. But it's more and more, as they become more and more reliant on these charts and more information, I saw so many mistakes made that were made because you kind of lost track of where you were in the game because you're so busy recording information, writing down what the pitch was, having a chart, looking at data. You know what? This is chaos time now. You throw everything out the window when you have to win one game. And I saw it over and over and over again. And these guys are all terrific recruiters. They have wonderful facilities. Every kid wants to go to their school. But the one thing they don't do well is they don't manage. They are very poor in-game managers.
They don't have a feel for what's happening around
They
them.
have no feel for what's happening. And they
No
should.
feel.
They can have a feel because it's like a conductor. He doesn't look at the chart. He looks at the orchestra. He's not looking down at the music. He wants to be in sync with the band.
Yeah.
These guys have their head down more than they do up. So when they put their head up and now the field is on fire, they panic. They do nothing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch. I had not watched that much, and I always knew this guy. I know a lot of these guys, and I know that's the mindset. But, it's just amazing that they could be so far behind the beat. It really is.
It is. And, the managers that I had when I played professionally, the ones that really had a great feel for the game, the ones that, they made a difference by what they did,
Absolutely.
their moves.
No question.
They
No
were
question.
constantly watching the game. They were watching
you know what
that
else?
field all the time. They knew
I think there's
exactly what was going on, right?
Right. You want to be a batter ahead, an inning ahead. I think there's a direct correlation between how tense you are in the dugout and how emotionally volatile your players are on the field. And what I saw is with a lot of these games, the players are out of control, so they make mistakes because, in some small part, obviously there's tons of pressure. They're playing for all the marbles. I get that. But when you look in the dugout and your manager's tight, you feel that. When you're in the dugout and your manager's tight, you feel that. Whereas if a guy is loose, and he's kind of relaxed and he's watching the game and his eyes, that permeates the team. And I think you're under more control as a player when you look in the dugout and there's a strong leader on the top dugout steps who's saying, "Don't worry, we got this."
Yep.
And that's not what you see with most of these college coaches.
No, they're barking orders and yelling and like in a panic. And, I would rather play for that
Or
guy.
they're dead silent. Like they
Not
just don't
saying
want to say
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, in Double-A when I played for Pete McCannon, and he just had this way of getting the most out of the players he had on that team. And he'd be in the middle of a one-run game in the bottom of the ninth, and he'd tell you a joke. He'd be like, "Yeah, watch this," and then he'd do his move. He was always cool as a cucumber and relaxed and just focused on what was going on. And he knew he knew what was going on in the other dugout. He knew what the third base coach was doing. He knew what every guy was on the field, what was going on. He knew, all right, watch this. See what's going to happen here. This is what we're going to do. Do. And just to be next to him and watch him do that was amazing. Just to be able to sit next to him and learn from that kind of a manager.
Yep.
And do you think he ever looked in a book or looked at a computer and said, "Give me what's that guy's exit philosophy?" So I know when we're pitching to him, I don't want him to hit it that hard. So
It was really glaring this year. It really made a strong impression on me. I knew it, but it confirmed my worst fears. Wow.
It's glaring.
And the third base coaching in college is
terrible.
Horrific.
It's terrible. Well, the third base coaching at the big league level is bad too. It's bad at the big league level as well.
They need a tutorial.
Yeah, Wathan for the Phillies is terrible. Terrible. I can't stand him. Third base coach. So, but these guys, you watch these guys manage games, and they're like robots. It's just like, this is what I have to do in this situation.
Yep.
They don't have a feel. They don't, a guy's, hot. Like this week he's hitting 600.
Oh, no, you can't.
Right?
That doesn't matter. That
Right?
doesn't matter.
No,
They take you out.
Yeah, they take you out. They don't leave a guy in if, they don't have a feel for that. They just, all right, I got to take him out. The numbers say I got to take him out. They take him out. And then guess what? You bring in that overused reliever, and guess what? He just gives up 3-4 runs, and now you're losing. So, yeah, it's just crazy. Crazy. All right, Victor Coco asks this, Tommy and Ken, do you feel you can correct a player's game for the better during game time?
No.
Not so much. No, I never do any coaching from the third base box or from the sideline. That's for practice.
Get your elbow up. Put your arm out. Get your foot down. Put your foot down.
We worry about that. Now, I may, give them a little hint here and there and say, hey, what do you think is going to happen here? Or what, just calm yourself down, take a step back, clear your head. And then I may do that, but I'm not going to sit there and go, like you said, yeah, you're out in front, Don't lunge in front. Don't get out in front.
My favorite is when the pitching coach goes to the mound and he's going like this. You got to get over. And he's giving like a lesson. I'm like, oh my God. that kid's got no chance. No
The o-
chance. So
the only-
the short answer is probably not.
Yeah, the thing that I do with pitchers when I go out and talk to them, I just go out and I go, "How you feel? You feel okay?
Right.
You think you can get this guy? Yep. All right, get him. You know." And then I just leave the mound. I don't start coaching him, going, "Well, you know, you got to stay closed. You got to close the front door, and you know, better balance point." No, that time's for when we're practicing. You know, that's what we need to do then. So. It's crazy. It's crazy. So let's go over these All-Star selections real quick, Tommy. Today they announced the All-Star teams. The American League starters: Gary Sanchez, catcher. First base: Carlos Santana, who's having a monster year.
And he's a great guitar player. I love his guitar playing.
Yes, he is amazing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not him?
Wrong
That's
guy.
not him?
Yeah,
Oh.
different guy. But I bet you he could make an All-Star team. All right, DJ LeMahieu, second base, who's having a phenomenal season. He's out of his tree right now. Alex Bregman, great third baseman. Mike Trout, George Springer, Michael Brantley, and then the DH is Hunter Pence, who's having a really good season down in Texas. So that's the American League starters.
Who's the shortstop?
The shortstop is Jorge Polanco for the Twins. I skipped him. Sorry,
wow.
Jorge Polanco. Yep.
Well, Springer, I don't think wasn't Springer hurt?
No, well, he's listed as the starter. I don't know if he's on the DL. He might not. He might.
Is he having that
be.
kind of year? I didn't think he was having that kind of year.
Yeah, they don't have their stats listed on this page. Just who the starters were, so I don't have their stats handy right now. Of course, let me see if there are any other Yankees on the reserves. No, that's shocking that none of the reserves are Yankees.
Gleyber Torres is not a reserve?
No, he is not.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, he might be named to the, because guys get hurt, and you know how that goes. He might get named.
Right.
The biggest snub they have here is Byron Buxton for the Twins. You know, he's 835 OPS, which is pretty good. So that's the biggest snub they said for the American League. Now, the National League starters, you got Wilson Contreras from the Cubs as a catcher, Freddie Freeman, who is tearing the cover off the ball for the Braves, Ketel Marte, the Diamondbacks, second baseman, Javi Baez at short, Nolan Arenado, who he's a perennial. He'll be there every year at third base if he stays healthy. Christian Yelich, who's having a monster year. I really like this kid. He looks, he reminds me of, you remember Von Hayes for the Phillies?
Yeah.
He's
a better Von Hayes.
Yes, he's a better Von Hayes. He's built like Von Hayes. They look the same.
Yep.
Ronald Acuna Jr., who is a very good young player. And Cody Bellinger.
Isn't he like 19?
Yes,
right.
He is. And Cody Bellinger, who he's all about the launch angle. And every time he swings the bat, he's trying to hit the ball to out of Los Angeles all the way across the United States to the East Coast. Let's see who the biggest snub is, they say. Max Muncy.
Oh.
20 home runs through 82 games. That's pretty good. And he didn't he's played all the infield positions. And he ranks 6th amongst the National League hitters in WAR, which everybody loves to talk about nowadays. The wins above replacement, or whatever the heck that means. But those were the All-Star balloting. And it's funny to see, like Bryce Harper not on there, Machado not on there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are 28 franchises that are really happy they didn't sign either one of those guys.
Oh God! I mean, Harper's just a strikeout.
Because as every year goes by, and you're not a unanimous MVP, you've really wasted your money.
Yeah,
you really have. It's a year off the contract that you've grossly overpaid for a guy.
And
because you're going to have to pay them both well after they stop producing. You've guaranteed that. So if they're not producing in the years they're supposed to be the most productive, you've lost one of their salad years.
Now, Machado's doing okay. His numbers are good.
Yeah, but okay is not good enough.
No.
When you're paying the guy $30 and $40 million, I mean, you got to be, I have to know what you're doing, and I don't know that either one of those guys exists.
Yeah, and Harper is just a strikeout waiting to happen. That guy's, I've seen him take some of the worst swings in my life. And as a matter of fact, I saw, who's the guy on the Mets? Frazier. Swung at a ball that bounced.
Yeah, I saw that.
6 feet outside the plate. 6 feet,
Yeah.
Tommy. Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
It was like
I
6 feet
saw that.
outside. And I was like, how do you do that? What's
You
the
think
story?
he's guessing?
Yeah, a little. Tell me about the Mets, Tommy. Before we wrap it up, just give me a rundown on those guys, because I watched them play the Phillies, and the Phillies kicked their ass for 4 straight games. How does that happen? Because the Phillies aren't that good. So how does it happen?
I think the Mets had opportunities. I think opportunities keep presenting themselves to the Mets that they don't take, that could really turn their franchise around. One of them was last year before the deadline, and when I was saying it, they should have traded DeGrom. And the reason they should have traded DeGrom has nothing to do with how good DeGrom is. It's just that it doesn't matter how good DeGrom is when he's with the Mets. He has almost no value to the Mets. And he has his perceived value to the rest of the league is far greater than his actual value. That's when you make a deal with a guy. Mm-hmm. You could have Herschel Walkered him last year. Instead, not only did you not do that, you gave him an extension when you didn't have to. You had him for another year. So you really tripled down on this guy. And I think this year, when they were going really bad, I mean, I know they're going bad now, but I would have DFA'd Cano. I would have DFA'd Todd Frazier. I would have DFA'd Juan Lagares, who gets $9 million, who can't play. And I would have sent a signal to the rest of baseball and to the press and to the back pages of the sports sections of the New York papers that the Mets are serious now. The Mets are a serious team that has to be taken seriously. Instead, you hire an 82-year-old pitching coach.
I mean, I'm watching Cano play in that Phillies series, and there were routine ground balls that he would usually just gobble up. And even tough plays, he would just gobble up in the past, and he couldn't get to the ball. He couldn't get down.
And Robinson Cano's 36 years old.
He was missing stuff. I'm just sitting there going, come on,
He didn't
man.
try hard
Wow.
when he was 26.
Yeah.
So
And-
now you got a guy who's 36,
And
when
can't
you
catch
don't
the
try
ball.
hard, it looks a lot worse.
Yeah,
It
he
looks
can't
a lot
bend over,
worse.
or he doesn't
And
want
you're
to
not
bend
hitting,
over.
and you're not hitting 340.
No.
So, they just keep passing up these opportunities to turn the franchise around, because they're there. They are there. But it will take it's going to take a bold move. And also, when you decide to hire a guy who's an agent as your general manager, I think it's hard for people to take you seriously.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an unreasonable, point of view. I think a lot of people just don't take the Mets seriously,
And
including a lot of their fan base.
And I don't think Callaway is a very good manager at all. So, and I don't know.
No,
but
I don't. Here's what I think. I think you have to be a special kind of guy to manage in New York, and it should have been evident to anyone who spends 10 minutes with Mickey Callaway that he's not made for New York. He could manage someplace else, but New York is a different animal. And it was, very, very much evident from the first time you heard Mickey Callaway speak that you can't get away with it. Yeah, I'm going to love the guys.
Yeah, you
This
can't
is New
hide.
York, man.
You can't hide, man.
Right.
No,
you
you
can do
can't
that
hide.
in Milwaukee. You can do that in Florida. You
Yeah.
can do that in Texas. You can't do it in New York.
I'm sorry, but the ball finds you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't hide
Right.
anybody. So, Danny Ford makes a good point. Cano is wealthy, and there is no incentive for him to really play hard or stay in shape or do any of that. So,
Well,
yeah.
but he was wealthy. He was wealthy before he signed the big contract.
Oh yeah.
He's just wealthier. He was always wealthy, but even when he wasn't wealthy, he still didn't try that hard. I mean, Joe Torre benched him for not diving for a ball in Anaheim. People should remember that, especially when you're now 10 years older.
Yeah, and God forbid if you did that nowadays. Segura in Philadelphia, the Philly shortstop, he hit a pop-up to left center field that dropped in and bounced away from the left fielder and went behind him. And guess what? He only wound up on first base because he didn't run. He just jogged to first base. He got to first base, thought he was going to be out, and could have had a double. Could have been standing on second base, but wasn't there. Everybody in Philadelphia they were livid, right? But what do you think Kapler does? Sends him right back out there. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Now, that night he did hit a game-winning home run, but still, nothing. You gotta do something.
Yeah, you got to stand for something.
Yeah.
Today I watched briefly. Pete Alonso was on first, and Cano hit a little looping single that was to the center fielder's left. So the center fielder had to go to his left. Alonso, nice job. turned second, never looked back, went to third. Center fielder picks the ball up, fires it over the cutoff man's head, short hops the third baseman. Cano standing on first base.
Yeah. What? Yeah, there's no anymore. Well,
I mean,
from certain guys,
if you're
there
running,
is. Yeah.
if you're running hard out of the box,
Yeah.
you're hitting second base, first base. The minute you see that throw goes over the cutter, you go.
Yeah.
But that's the difference.
I don't know. It's a strange game. It's strange to watch. Sometimes it looks like softball, 4 outfielders. You see that now? Everybody's doing 4 outfielders. They're putting.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that's strange. I don't know. You don't have good enough outfielders to cover that ground? I don't know. So
Hey, what happens when the guy hits a ground ball?
yeah, the guy hits a ground ball to third base. No, you bunt for a double now. That's the big one.
Right.
That's you just don't and then just run. And then they give you crap about it when you get to second base, like you did something wrong. Like you broke the unwritten rule that you can't bunt we have the shift on. You can't bunt or you can't hit the ball the other way
Right.
when we have the shift
right.
on.
That's what I'll do.
Right?
Okay? That's
the unwritten
okay.
rule. Yeah. So I had a pitcher yell at me one time. We had a first and third situation, and I push bunted the ball to the second baseman. Got a hit, drove a run in, got the guy to second base, and now we got first and second, right? And the pitcher comes over and starts yelling at me for bunting. He's like, well, why did you bunt? Why'd you bunt? And I'm like, because it's part of the game.
Part of the game.
Yeah, it's part of the game. It
I'm
was a
allowed
close
to?
game. Yeah, it wasn't like you were beating us 10-0 or
Right. When it's against the rules, then I won't do it.
Exactly. But it's within the rules. I'm going to do it. And here it was. Now, I know better than to bunt when it's 10-0 or,
Right.
in either direction.
Right.
I know that. So what are you talking about? So, whatever. All right, Webbs. It's been a fun conversation. We've been doing this for over an hour, which is fantastic.
All right.
What do you got going on this week? Anything baseball related? Anything at all?
What do I got?
I'm picking up a couple new kids that I'm going to be working with this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a couple kids in my neighborhood. They want a little extra. They're just coming over on their own. They, parents are just like, if they want to come. And I told them, I said, hey, come over, man. We'll do some, but do it later in the day, like when the sun starts to go down. I don't want to do it like 4:00 in the afternoon. It's too hot.
In the heat. Right.
Yeah. I don't want to do it
4th of
then.
July this week. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to you too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You doing anything special on 4th of July? You going anywhere?
No. Going to
No?
my house.
Upstate? Cool.
I got some baseball stuff I gotta attend to, but we'll see. Some
Awesome.
stuff in the works,
Awesome.
as they say.
As they say, fireworks in the works. You're gonna be lighting off fireworks.
I've never touched. I don't know that I've ever touched a fire. I mean, maybe once as a kid. Scared to death of them. Hated every crazy lunatic who blew up half the block. Next day it's all over. I never understood that. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I just never.
Who's the guy from the Giants who held it and blew his fingers off? The lineman.
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, him. Way to go,
Yeah.
Jason. You just
Yeah, not
Now
me.
you gotta wear a club on your hand. All right. Anyway, the All-Star Game is this week. Home Run Derby, all that fun stuff. We'll probably have a lot of stuff to talk about next week. I look forward to it. I will see you. Have a great week. Have a great 4th of July. Thanks to everybody who came on tonight. We appreciate it. Thanks, Renee. Thank you, Victor Coco. Thanks for all the people who were watching in the watch party. And we will check you guys out next Sunday night. And remember, we love talking about the drills and things that improve players as well. So if you have any questions about
We'll
that
do
kind of
videos
stuff-
next week. We'll do some videos next week.
All right, send them
Show
over
them
to
some
me,
videos.
and I'll get them lined
I sent
up.
you some stuff.
All
I
right.
sent you stuff.
All right.
All right.
All right. Stop yelling
love
at
you.
Stop yelling at me.
Love
I
you.
love you too, man. See ya.